Hello, and welcome to my first Redstone video. I'm Delta2i, and I've been excited for the new snapshots and updates that Mojang has announced. I've come up with a couple of tileable designs for the crafter that I would love to show off right now. So this first design is completely one-wide tileable, and both these designs are single ingredient crafters. So, basically any crafting recipe that only requires one ingredient. So it can be just wood, it can be 4 stone, but typically I think we'll see these used for compacting iron from iron farms and compacting gold from gold farms. So the way this design works is you have 2 comparators that are both powering this redstone line. This composter is powering it at a level of 8, and the crafter can go up to a power level of 9. Like that. So once that happens, it triggers an update into the observer, which turns on the T flip-flop, otherwise known as, with this block, as the cop flop, and powers the block underneath the crafter to power the crafter, which then pushes it into this chest. And then the comparator here drops its signal strength, and so it goes back to 8, and then we turn the T flip-flop off, which stops sending signal there. Now this is a great design, however it is incredibly slow. And that made me sad, and I realized that you could be putting as many hoppers into this as physically possible, and that you could still be running it as fast. I did some experiments over there with droppers that made me find out the limits of the crafter. So, if we come over here, we can put a maximum of 4 blocks into the crafter. Or, sorry, 4 hopper inputs into the crafter. So you can see 1, 2 on the sides, 1 on the top, and 1 in the front. And that makes it incredibly useful, as now we can use a little bit more space and make it 4-wide tileable in order to fit in with an item stream. So for example, say you want to take the quartz from the pig bartering, and you can just pass that over a set of item filters, impulseSV item filters. In this case I've got iron ingots here. But if you pass those over, then you can pull out all the quartz and make that. So, the circuit is very simple. It is everything you see here, plus that redstone dust underneath. And so, what we have with the 2 comparators is with the composter, we have it sending a signal strength of 6 into this line. And that is to drop the comparator output down so that we only get to this point when we want to power it. So this will be the signal strength of 9 that comes out of the comparator, 1, 2, 3, and then we have 6 extra. And that means that this comparator is needed to be in subtract mode. So, with this comparator being in subtract mode, we can have all the way up to 8, and we only get redstone power to that line down there. Now once we add 9, it'll go to here, and you notice that we never can get a signal strength of 10 out of this, and so that line will never be powered. However, it is critical, as otherwise we're just powering the hopper, which doesn't do anything for the crafter. So let me go ahead and add 1 more. So then you saw it just quickly faded. And so yeah, that is the basic structure of how this works, and this line down here is a little bit of extra. It is overflow protection, which is not necessary unless you are making something that has as many open slots as you have hoppers. That is the limiting factor for this, is the hopper speed. But for example, if I were to go in and completely fill this up without that line on, you can see we're just continuing to power it because it's constantly at 9. However, this creates a little bit of a clock where it powers that up to 15, and then we're just going around until this is not at a power, not full. So like you can see if I had 10 extra in there at the end of that. Now this works great. You can make this a little bit slower if you want, but who wants it slow? Yeah, who wants it slow? Now that's simple and great and all, but what happens if I'm just getting iron nuggets? Or maybe I have a bunch of ice. Well, over here on this, you can see I've got an entire shulker box of ice. And a shulker box unloader that doesn't work very well, but that is a project for another day. And you can see the circuit down here is exactly the same, but we have the crafter, this top crafter, which is making blue packed ice, coming down into here, and it's taking that packed ice and making it into blue ice. So that one extra step, and both of these are facing downwards so that we don't have to worry about hoppers. So that one extra step is just this comparator, and it pulls down underneath the block again, just like this circuit right here. It pulls down, around, and then up a redstone torch line. I may not need that. This may be able to be simplified, but I haven't focused on that. And then it will power the crafter once it gets full. And unless you're using, for example, cobbled deep slate, where you're making deep slate bricks, so you put in 4 and you get 4 out, and then you're using 4 to make another 4 out, then you do not need an overflow switch, because this crafter will only power every tick that a hopper can push into it at maximum speed. So this is really a very simple redstone circuit. You can put an impulseSV item filter above it, and it will be a great addition to any iron and gold farms.